In this episode, we talk with me, Michael Waite, about how to unlock your unconscious, your imagination, your mind, your inner space. These are rockets, spaceships into your inner world and their corresponding locks, deadbolts, kicking you out of your mind and pushing you out, homeless, out there in the world, away from yourself, away from your ideas, being pushed and pulled by your senses. Instead, let's learn how to become more dead on the outside and alive on the inside, dimming that outer world down and this inner one up. This is episode 76 with just you and me. I don't know why it took me this long to kind of put these pieces together to figure this out, but I woke up from a dream this morning and I was like, whoa, all of these different disparate pieces, puzzle pieces of things that I love and things that I hate, started to merge together into a single whole. The puzzle got put together and I was like, okay, very, very simple. This is the kind of life that you want, and this is the kind of life that you don't want. These are the things that make you feel alive and feel happy, and these are the things that stress you out and that you wanted to delete from your life. Before I was kind of individually deleting these things or adding these things in, but now I'm like, it's a much simpler way to look at this. And the way I will explain it in this episode is it's an interoception versus exteroception. It's exploring, moving through the inner world versus being out there in the outer world, exteroception. Something much more than that, though. Because when you're in this inner world, there's this chaos, this unpredictability. There's this peace and silence and quietude and sensory deprivation on the outside. But on the inside, there's all this wildness and creation and unpredictability. Things coming from within me, moving within me. And I could push those out into the world through writing or through podcasting or whatever. But just being there in the silence, with my eyes closed, with no food in my stomach or mouth or any of that, alone, without anybody. Yeah, maybe gentle movements with my hand writing or sitting here, moving my mouth and kind of moving my hands in the air. But yeah, it's this difference between being in the inner world of creation and imagination and unpredictability, but I say honesty and authenticity and individuality. It's you. Whether you like it or not, this is you. It's the unconscious. Versus just being out there in the easy, cozy, pleasurable world of taking what there already is. Just bringing things in, sensory overload, through your eyes, through your ears, through your mouth, being around others all the time, taking pictures of the world, looking at things, tasting things. This is waking life. This is what we call reality, but I would say it's only a small piece of reality, and it's one that we have been overindulging in. Food, screens, culture, rules, man-made creations, lights, big screens, small screens, pornographic screens, child-friendly screens, noise, any kind of sound coming from boxes and tablets and other people's mouths and our own, a disconnection from ourselves, advertisements, news, memes, these cultural ideas that are just spreading into you that people don't really know why they're saying it, but they've been programmed, and now you're just spitting it out too. What I do not like is, I mean, and maybe you do like it. I'm not saying you shouldn't like it, but I've learned this about me. What stresses me out is, being too much in that outer world of fast busyness, movement, items, possessions, things blasting into my eyes and ears and mouth at all times. Stimulation, sensory overload. What I love is when you have the sensory overload on the outside, the inner world is going to be so dimmed down and you're going to be kind of locked away from it. It's not going to be very apparent. Your awareness shifts to the outside, and I like it when my attention shifts to the inside. I like that. So sensory deprivation. Yeah, it might be quiet on the outside. Still on the outside, there's not inputs, but on the inside, there's all these things happening. That starts coming alive. That starts moving. These ideas, this imagination, this relationship. Yeah, maybe not so much with other people and the external world, but this relationship with myself and memories and ideas and who I am and my unconscious, and building that inner relationship with this inner world of who I am, and maybe something more eternal or beyond this normal physical reality. I don't know. It feels like you might be tapping into some kind of other dimension or some other kind of spirit realm or something. I'm not sure, but it's not this physical, visible, loud, bright, noisy reality that we walk through every day with each other that we call the real world, that we call waking life. I'm all about this dreams, solitude, meltiness and chaos and nature, and what we call unreality, what we might call is like just a dream or just your imagination. But I'm saying, woohoo, no, this is where I want to be. And so when I get pulled out into that other world, the world that it seems we've been moving more into over the course of history, as technology has progressed and as cities have developed and things, I don't want to be there. Part of me does, yes. I'm a human, but no, I want to be in here. I want to be in here. And so this really colors for me, explains for me so much of the kinds of relationships I want, job I want, environment I want to be in terms of city, country, but also my room or my living space, the foods I eat, the things I consume or don't consume, the things I create. And so today I want to share with you some of these keys into this inner world, this unconscious world of imagination, and all of these beautiful invisible things that can become visible if you step away from, divert your attention away from the outside world, cut off the inputs, and then all of those senses, the visual, auditory, taste, smell, all those sensory things. Yeah, you're not going to have it on the outside, but you're going to have it anyway. You're still going to have it. You're going to have it on the inside. You're going to feel it on the inside. You're going to create those visions. You're going to create those sounds and smells and relationships. You're going to have them. They're just going to be coming from within. And that for me is way more satisfying. And I have a feeling it might be for you too, especially if you're a regular listener of this podcast. This has sort of been a general underlying theme that I just realized. So, without further ado of me just rambling on, let's talk about some of these keys into the unconscious, keys into our inner world, things that can brighten it up and get things alive, bring your attention inward, and then corresponding locks, I guess we can call them, things that lock us away from our internal world and distract us, pushing us out into the external one. Yeah, it's an easy world, it's a fun world, it's a pleasurable world out there, but that might be where you want to be, especially at certain periods of your life. So that's cool too. You could do that if you want to, but for me, I'm thinking of this as a toolkit into myself, into the inside. But you can also, because I'm going to also explain the corresponding sort of anti-inward things, the things that push us out. You can sort of use this, the other side of this sword, and say, okay, well, I'm just going to do the opposite. I'm going to embrace those distractions, those things that pull me outward, and just lean into those. Okay, cool. So you could do that too. And I might want to sometimes too, maybe for other purposes, but in general, yeah, I found my enemies, and I sound like some freaking weird ass monk or something, but it is sort of the external world, and what I love is this inner world. And I know it doesn't seem healthy. It seems like, dude, you can't just be living in there. You got to go outside. You got to socialize and stuff. But nah, I don't know. This is me. This is what I want. So before we continue on, you could first maybe ask yourself a few questions like, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do? If you had all the time in the world, you didn't have to work anymore, what would you do? What's your ideal environment look like? How many items do you want? How would you spend time with other people? What would you eat? How much alone time? How much time with others? Where are your favorite places? What places do you hate? What stresses you out? Make lists of all these different things, and then this might help tell you like where you want to be. Do you want to be on the inside or on the outside? And luckily, and well, whether we like it or not, we're going to bounce back and forth between the two, and there are going to be experiences like I explained in that earlier episode about interoception and exteroception. I'll link it in the show notes. There are some experiences that are sort of the bridge between the inside and the outside, and we're never going to be fully on the inside or fully on the outside. But if all that external stimuli stresses you out, then cut some of it out, get rid of it. And then if you want to be on the inside, come on in. All right, so yeah, the main gateways are the sensory apparatus, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth. This is where a lot of this episode is going to be centered around, but not all of it. Some of it is in our prefrontal cortex, in our brain, in our world of ideas and stories. But I'm mainly going to be focusing on the sensory windows, doorways between ourself and the world. Yeah, let's start with the eyes. Darkness. Darkness is one way into the unconscious, into this inner world. So you can turn off the lights, go to some cave, whatever. When the lights are off on the outside, the visions seem to increase on the inside. Likewise, you can close your eyes. So closing your eyes instead of having them open all the time. This is a feature of various things like sleep, meditation, prayer, all kinds of sort of inward-based practices that help us tap into our unconscious. Even in these psychedelic experiments, clinical trials, I guess is what you call them, with classic psychedelics such as LSD and psilocybin, trying to help treat people with anxiety, with depression, with all of that. What they usually do is they have eye masks on, eyes closed. So they're tripping out on these psychedelics for hours and hours, laying still with lights totally off. I mean, they got a blindfold on, and they're just exploring their inner world. This is so different from the classic psychedelic trip that people do recreationally. People will pop in their shrooms and run through the forest, probably walk through the forest, explore it, look at the ocean, look at the nature, eyes open, right? And yeah, maybe this is actually these normal eyes open psychedelic experiences are a kind of sweet spot between the inner world and the outer world. It's no wonder that people are gravitating towards nature when they're on these things. Nature itself is sort of this gateway between the two worlds. It makes me think that maybe nature and this inner world are not really separate. Maybe they're part of the same thing. The problem is, with our eyes open, we're getting bombarded by these things from another dimension, these man-made skyscrapers and advertisements and motorcycles and cars and ambulances and just random noises and lights and I don't know, all this stuff that doesn't seem real. So maybe nature's okay. So maybe eyes open on these psychedelics, wandering through the forest or mountains or looking at the ocean or river or something, playing with the birds or dogs or whatever, that actually might be okay. But I'd say eyes closed is going to help you explore that inner world of memories and traumas and ideas and creativity and all of that much, much more. But you can experiment with this. But yeah, you don't need to be on psychedelics to close your eyes. Just close your eyes anytime you want. You don't have to call it meditation. You don't have to call it sleep. Just literally close your eyes. That's all you got to do. And that processing power will be redirected from bringing things in, downloading stuff from the outside, and instead kind of processing and moving things around on the inside. So that's a really, really easy, cool little trick you could do. You can have an eye mask and just like keep that thing in your pocket, pop it on when you're on the bus or train or something. No, you can just close your eyes. But something about having an eye mask too that, I don't know, makes it more Makes it richer, makes it more serious. It's kind of maybe like turning your phone off versus just having it on airplane mode in your pocket. You're like, oh, we're doing this. So yeah. Another tool, we're still focusing on the ice still, is no screens. Just, if you're going to have your eyes open, like I said, there's some things that you're going to look at that are going to be more aligned with that inner world, that magical, mystical, chaotic, curvy, weird, unpredictable place. I mean, it's no coincidence that nature is all curvy and kind of unpredictable and magical, and you can't really pin it down. There aren't really rules. There are, but you're like, what are they? That's what science is trying to discover. It's not as simple as, I don't know, architecture, geometry, math, or something like that. But yeah, I might be offending those guys. I'm sure that stuff's much more complicated than it looks. It looks like a lot of simple lines and shapes and squares and rules, rigidity, boundaries, algorithms. But yeah, I could be wrong. Could be wrong there. But and yeah, maybe you could turn your whole inner world, your unconscious, your imagination into some freaking algorithm, some computer code. But I don't think it's translatable like that. Nor do I think nature could be really translated into symbols. So yeah, go to this non-linear, non-rigid, non-rule-based, borderless, boundless, melty, chaos, curvy place. If you're going to have your eyes open or your ears open or any of your senses, your body moving. So we're going to get to the body and the ears and the mouth and all that. So, but the more kind of like, whoa, what is this? I can't pin it down. It is. That's where you want to be. That's going to tap you into this unconscious, I don't think it's just me. I think we are all part of this kind of God universe, connected, melty place, which is what we experience when we close our eyes. But we can also experience with our eyes open, say, out there in nature with water, rivers and oceans and trees and mountains and the sun and the light being all, ooh, what the color is that? I don't even know. Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make here now, specifically because it's such a big problem now, is screens. That is probably one of the worst things to look at. Yeah, it might not be so nice to look at the rigid roads and sharp corners of the room and the walls and the buildings and advertisements and stuff. Well, the advertisements are actually on screen, so that's probably the biggest beast of them all. Dude, bad medium, bad content. God, man. But yeah, just push all the screens away. And the smaller the screen, the more that's going to push you onto the outer world. The more it's going to hijack your senses and overload your consciousness, where you're not controlling it anymore. You're not doing the moving. You're not choosing where to go. You're just being pulled around by what's out there. There's no creation or imagination anymore. There might be a little bit, but it's mostly just you consuming, you just eating up these light waves and sound waves that are out there. You're not really even... I mean, you're alive, but you're getting more like you're getting eaten alive. Is what it feels like, eaten alive by the world, eaten alive by the sounds. Wouldn't you rather be like, boom, I'm doing this, I'm moving, I'm creating these visuals, I'm creating these sounds, I'm talking, I'm writing, I'm painting, like I'm dancing. This is coming from me. Yes, it's screens, phone screens, tablets, TVs, movie screens, dumbass advertisement, billboard things. Dude, I'm at the gym now. They started putting these tablets like on a freaking pole, so it'll be staring at you at each machine with this advertisement for the gym that you're already at, and it's like talking about itself and stuff. And they have this, and if you look around the gym, there's like 50 of these tablets all synchronized playing the same advertisement that I don't even know why they're showing us because we're already there. But I'm like, nah, dog. Luckily maybe they've done this on accident or on purpose, or maybe they're throwing in some kindness. I'm not sure. But like you can swivel the screen around. So I'm like moving the screens, twisting them to the opposite direction. So like when I work out, I don't gotta look at them. But the problem is they're everywhere. So I gotta like move like 3 or 4 of them. Twist those screens around just so I can do a single like workout. And then each time I change the machine, I gotta change different screens. I want to smash them or throw them all in some freaking bonfire somewhere. But yeah, I don't own the place and I can't really control it. So yeah, I don't know. You can control a little bit in your own house though. Like you can try to like just not use your phone. I felt way better when, this might sound a bit extreme, but I don't open my phone until, I don't know, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours after waking up. I might shut off the alarm if there's that, or I might take a quick glance at the map or something, but I'll shut off the internet, shut off the data, and that pretty much makes the phone not very useful. I might use it to listen to a podcast or audiobook or something that I've pre-downloaded. But yeah, not having that visual space being hijacked by the phone, this really, really tiny space that really grabs your attention because it's a small space and you get so pulled away into the external world, away from this inner one. It's so dangerous. And then, like I said, with the advertisements, this stuff on this phone, the content, the social media, the stuff you're looking at, it's like, dude, bad hardware, bad medium, and it's bad content, bad things being put in your eyes. And not saying like really they're bad necessarily. Like you're not looking at freaking, I don't know, gorilla porn, babies in microwaves kind of junk. Oh, come on, man. I don't know if that's even out there. It probably is. But I just mean like, it's not where you want to be. It's not your creation. It's some other creation. And I know now you're listening to this podcast and maybe you should be like, oh, well, I shouldn't consume content. I'm not going to consume your content. I'm going to get into this a little bit with the audio stuff, the ear stuff. But podcasts, I think, are actually a very beautiful medium because it's something also not quite as much as nature, but much more so than, say, TV or YouTube or other visual mediums. It's kind of like this weird bridge between the inner and outer world. Like, I'm not talking to you. This isn't a conversation, but it kind of is. We're kind of having a conversation. Just like with books, when you're reading a book, you're also kind of using your imagination. And it's a very simple way to explain this is how many of your senses are being engaged when you listen to a podcast versus when you're watching YouTube versus doing virtual reality, which now that I think about it, maybe I'm not as big of a fan of as I thought I was, because it really is a pure hijack of your senses. Got to think about that one. Got to rethink what I'm doing with there. But yeah, the more you turn off these senses, you cut off the things coming in, the input, say turning off your ears or turning off your eyes or turning off your mouth or your nose or whatever, the more you're going to start being a participant in the creation process, and your creativity is going to increase and your imagination is going to start roaming and stuff. So yeah, I guess I was planning on talking about this later, but let's just dig into it now and then I'll continue. Speaking of fluidity and no rules and meltiness, this is what this episode is becoming. Okay, but let's talk about the history of technology a little bit and how it's interesting how as technologies have connected themselves to more and more of our senses, and the speed has increased also. So the speed of information travel, stuff coming into our eyes versus in our ears, etc. Not only has the speed been increasing, we're getting more information coming in at faster speeds. More of our senses are being engaged. So, like before the 1900s, there wasn't really audio-based technology. There wasn't visual-based technology. There was sort of. It was art. It was paper. Things on print. There was news, yeah, but it's like it's printed on the paper. There were books. There were paintings. This kind of stuff. But that's just only using your eyes, really. And the speed is controlled by the speed of your mind. So it's not just going to blast you hardcore the way that like a video would, or, you know, even certain kinds of videos, like the ones on TikTok and Instagram Reels, which is like, oh my God, why would you even want to put that in you? But yeah, some people will like it, just like some people like cocaine and bounce houses and stuff. Bounce houses might be okay. I think I'd be down for one of those. But then technology grabbed our ears. By the turn of the 20th century, around the early 1900s, we started getting the radio. In the 1920s, 1930s, radio became like a thing. Everyone's listening to it. It's in every household and stuff like that, at least in America. So now, I don't know, I'm guessing we probably shifted out into the outer world more at that point. Radio's a great thing. Podcasting's, I love it. But what's better is total silence, total stillness, eyes closed, talking to each other at least, having a conversation. That's like closer to reality than listening to a podcast or listening to radio or something like that. But it gets way, way worse. It gets way, way worse because at least with the radio, it's just your ears. Your eyes are not being controlled yet. You still got to use your imagination. Not as much as you did when you were just reading stuff on the page, but kind of similar. You're still a participant in the process. So sort of this co-creation between the radio and now podcasting and you. The inner world and the outer world kind of melting together in a not so bad way. But then they got these screens, these visual screens. And then the screens started bigger and they got smaller and smaller and smaller over time, starting with these big movie screens and now with these tiny little screens that are perceived as big screens, but they're actually little tiny screens in these virtual and augmented reality headsets, glasses essentially. And then before that, we had smartphones. So the screens went from getting very big, which is not diverting our attention as much as the small ones. The small screens focus our attention and pull us away from ourselves more than the big ones. But yeah, then we got the movie screens. But we had to go to the movie theater. We had to get in the car or whatever and go there. But then we got the TVs, in the 1920s, 1930s. I guess they really started booming after World War II, kind of competing with the radio. But yeah, engaging more of our senses. Now it's not just the eyes. It's eyes not with words and images, but now it's like moving images. So there's motion. The motion side is being tapped into. This just grabs our attention much more with all that motion and the colors and the way they're doing things. Plus the audio. So now we got the audio and the visual mixed together. So two of our senses are being hijacked. So videos, I think, are just much more engaging than audio or silence. But they're also pushing us more on the outside, and they're decreasing our imagination and creativity and connection with ourselves and self-awareness and all that kind of thing. Yeah, so it depends on what you want to do. I mean, it's no surprise that YouTube is way more popular than Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And if Spotify is popular, it's the music more so than the podcasts, because there's something about listening to music that isn't quite as creative as listening to a podcast. With words, you're kind of thinking, oh wow, do I think this? Am I thinking this? This thing's in your freaking ears. It's like it almost feels like it's your own thoughts, but it's like it's someone else's. It's me. It's weird. Like we're in each other's heads. Yeah. Anyway, main point is looking at screens, and looking at these tiny screens, and looking at videos on them. That's more distracting. It's more fun. It's more pleasurable. It's more exciting. It's more popular. But it's definitely decreasing our awareness of our inner landscape. So I like podcasts. I like books. Dude, I love this stuff. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all that. I'm not as much. Even Netflix. I don't watch Netflix. I don't watch a lot of movies. I'd rather read a book or just write something down. But yeah, maybe I'm a bit extreme on this outer spectrum. But yeah, so the screens got smaller and smaller, and it's interesting as they got smaller and smaller, and as they started engaging more and more of our senses, from books to radio to movies to TV to the internet, computers. Now, the computer screens are a little bit smaller than the TV screen, but a lot more information on them as well. But at least it's in our control, so I don't know, maybe the computer is better than the TV. And then they got smaller. Smartphones, and then VR AR devices, which simulate a big screen, but I mean the smartphone takes away our attention because it's hijacking our total visual sense, which, I mean, you can't do nothing when you got that thing on there. That's a whole episode in itself, freaking smartphones. But yeah, then the virtual and augmented reality headsets, these screens are even smaller, and while they're great that they let us experience so many things we couldn't experience otherwise, and they are very immersive. They're tapping into more of our senses. Now we got the visual, and things are moving in there, but it's also 3D. It's social. We can hear people. Audio. Yes, it's more of our senses being controlled. This material coming into us, not coming outward from us. So yeah, I have to think about VR and AR, but yeah, including that though. Screens, push them away, turn them off, get away from them. That'll help you lighten up the inside and find your little home on the inside if that's where you want to be. I think it's less stress. I think it feels more real. That's where I want to be. When I spend more time there, I'm happy. But I mean, I know like just as technology has progressed and pushed us more and more into the external world, and screens got smaller and more immersive and all of that, culture has also changed and begun to value that more and more. And we become less aware of our own selves, and we've maybe become less individual and less free and less creative. And we're consuming more and more. So that's no coincidence. Yeah, the cultural and societal values have been pushed onto the outside, away from the inside. The technology has helped bring us there. The values have changed along the way. So now it's not normal to not want to be out there, to not like the screens or be on Instagram or watching Netflix or going to all the restaurants and enjoying the pleasures and pains of the outside world. Not so much the pains, but the pleasures, and running away from the pains, but just being out there. But we're still human. We like this inner space, and maybe we don't. So like I said in the beginning, if you want to dive into the freaking electronic chaos, electronic wasteland out there, you like it, and go right ahead. Just open your eyes, open your ears, plug them up with some earbuds or something, nonstop, blasting some music, suck on an ice cream cone. Yeah, put some perfume underneath your nose. Yeah, just stick to the screen all day, whatever. But that's not where I'm trying to go. So I'm trying to figure out how can I be where I want to be. And no screens, eyes closed, or at least putting my eyes where I want them to be. And if they're going to be open, directing them towards something that seems to kind of have this family resemblance to what's on the inside. The trees and the mountains and the sun, and like this is the kind of stuff that I see when I'm in here in my head, and that I think you do too, and that I think are actually connected in a single world. I don't know, is that consciousness? Is that like heaven or God or what? I don't know, but yeah, nature is fine. Nature is fine. Darkness is good too, because it's just like simple. Okay, enough about the eyes. Actually, one more thing about the eyes before we move on to the ears, which you've already sort of touched on, is focusing more on valuing more things like knowledge and self-awareness, ideas, the mind, imagination, and being like, ooh, I like learning. I like the imagination. I want to build this world up inside here. I want to get to know it and explore it and be there. That's what I care about. That's the status for me. Versus focusing on appearances and fashion and beauty and the body. Yeah, and the body's great, but I'm more focused on the inner experience of the body, not the outer experience of it. Not seeing the body with your eyes, but feeling it from the inside. So yeah, just sort of this shift in. You can't really just shift your values and say, oh, I like this, I don't like that. But if you become less focused somehow on appearances and external beauty, nature is going to be an exception here always. You can focus on the natural beauty. I think that's fine. But I'm talking more about like fashion and makeup and these sort of things that don't quite exist in the world of heaven and dreams. Not trying to focus on what other people think, but instead just being there, doing the thing, feeling this inner stuff. So yeah. Shift towards play a little game with yourself. See what you can learn, how well you can know yourself or connect your memories and ideas together. Creation, exploring the mind, playing in the imagination. Be like, ooh, this is what I like. This is what it is. And you'll look at. It's a classic sort of stereotype, but the nerds and the jocks and the beautiful people and the ugly people or whatever. These aren't always mutually exclusive, but yeah, we might be jealous sometimes of the person who's looking so good on the outside. They're like, God, they're nice clothes and their freaking hair's all perfect and their body's all good and their Instagram's got like billions of followers or whatever. But then, think about it. What does their inner world look like? How much have they been focusing on that? How much have they built that up? How well do they even know themselves? Oftentimes it's a direct inverse correlation. The more someone's got things going on the outside, their inner world's just freaking famished. Not always. I'm sure there's like these really self-aware Instagrammers or whatever, these creative, beautiful people. But you don't got to be beautiful. You don't got to impress people. You don't got to have all these followers. You can play a different game. And maybe a game you got to play if you're really ugly or something like that, you know? But like it's a better place anyway. This world of ideas and imagination and creativity and awareness and stuff. Getting sensitive with yourself, tapping into those emotions, pouring something out. Build a billion followers within yourself that no one else can see, and they don't even have names or faces or nothing, but like, dude, there's lots of love in there. These ideas, these neurons, these memories are all connected together. It's the real social network. It's a social network within. And it's very beautiful. It's more beautiful than anything on the outside. So, I mean, one last thing about screens again, too. All of this applies to anything we do. So, say with masturbation, for example, I don't know the numbers. I don't know how we could know the numbers, but I'm guessing like for people like jerking off or masturbating or whatever, dude, it's got to be like, and probably more so with men, 95%, 98% of them are looking at porn. They're looking at a screen. They might be looking at it on their phone, on a tablet, whatever, maybe a magazine at least, if they'll still exist. But you've all masturbated before. Think about the times. Maybe it might have been a long time ago before you had access to these screens, these pornographic screens. But dude, use your imagination, just whacking off to something, some memory, some visual, some chick you know. I know it's like not appropriation to be, whacking off to real life people, but I don't know. It feels better. It feels much better. It could be an imaginary person. I don't know. You've got this imaginary girl or something, or God or something you're whacking off to, jerking off to, beating the meat to. But yeah, using your imagination for masturbation more than relying on the screens, because yeah, that's you tapping into that inner sense. Even your hand is sort of, that's an act of creation. You're moving the hand. It's not being moved. But I guess if you're using some toy, you got some, I don't know, they got those fleshlights and things. It's not quite as good because you're like, oh, it's doing it to me. I'm consuming this. I'm not creating this. But when you're using your hand, you're kind of doing the creation. And whenever your eyes are closed, they're not looking at a screen, this pornographic screen. Now the visuals are coming from the inside. And you're like, wow, this is a heavenly natural place. I did that episode with Jamie Ananda McConaughey, and he was saying how he used to masturbate out in the nature. And that makes total sense, because I think masturbating with the imagination, using the visuals, using your wank bank, is already kind of like a masturbating in nature. Because like I said, nature and imagination are sort of, I think they're the same place. Or at least they bear some kind of family resemblance to one another. They might not be the same species, but they're, I don't know, it's like chimpanzees and humans or something, gorillas and orangutans kind of similarity thing going on there. I think it's the same dimension. I think it's the same place. It might be heaven. It might be reality. It might be God. It might be consciousness. It might be what really is and where we want to be. So yeah, let's go. This is going on. I told myself I'm going to do a short episode because I heard that you're supposed to do like 15-minute episodes. Those get the most engagement, but I can't. This is what happens when you explore the inner world. Let's look at the ears. Let's listen to the ears. Let's open up our ears or close them. Silence. Silence is a way into this place. Noise is a way out of it. So crank things up. Make your house noisy. Keep the TV on at all times, like some people do. Houses at which I cannot be at. I will explode. Have a conversation nonstop with people. Talk. Always be talking, always be listening to a podcast or music, or have something in your ears, have those earbuds in, having those things all plugged up. Yeah, that's going to push you outward, because now you're not creating this audio content, you're consuming it. And there are some things that are more kind of inward than others. Like I said, like there's something about podcasting, I haven't figured it out, just like I haven't figured out this nature thing, but you're kind of on the inside. But you're kind of on the outside. We're kind of talking to each other. This feels like reality. And then some podcasts actually are going to feel more real than others. When it's all rigid and they're following the lines and they're following the rules and they're following the culture and they're obeying and they're just like spitting out the memes that have already been implanted into them, and they haven't really thought it through it themselves. It's not something coming from inside of them. is something that they downloaded from the TV or from the society, and then they're just like regurgitating back out. It's not that pure inner space, and it's never really going to be, because it's hard to live purely in that natural world of imagination and nature. But yeah, you're probably going to enjoy or feel like, whoa, I'm more in my inner world when you're listening to podcasts and podcasters who seem to be more tapped into that inner space, and maybe themselves are less focused on the external world of appearances and numbers and followers and being liked and not getting canceled and all that kind of stuff. So I think there's, even within the podcast world, you're going to notice, this one feels more real. Probably have fewer advertisements. And if they do have advertisements, they're not going to be annoying. They're going to be kind of fun. Like I enjoy the ones read by Duncan Trussell. I can't think of many others, but there are some that I actually enjoy listening to. Usually I hate it. I'm like, dude, what are you doing to me, buddy? But it's no coincidence though, because the ones with the most annoying advertisements are often the ones with the most annoying content in general. So I hope to keep this promise. I might break it someday, but I'm not going to put advertisements on here because I like that. It's like putting billboards out into nature or something, or it's like, I don't know, putting the screens in the gym. I mean, the gym itself is already like not the most natural place, but now we're putting the screens in there, having a TV in your house, taking pictures of beautiful experiences. I know this is a controversial one. Everyone loves taking pictures, but you're kind of tainting the whole thing you're disintegrating it. You're desecrating it by putting it into a screen. You're kind of killing it. It's like that Say Cheese and Die Goosebump book. I think that was a metaphor for something bigger. But yeah, no ads. Ads themselves are a whole other thing, which we're going to talk about soon. But yeah, silence. Just no noise. I will admit, I listen to too many audiobooks, too many podcasts. I've got these earbuds in all the time. I'm listening to stuff way too much. But I have been trying to like unplug more and more and just walk around outside or sit in silence. And I do feel much better. I felt much, much better there. And this is also why today I'm able to even make this podcast, because I didn't put anything in my ears yet or in my eyes. That phone was away. Those earbuds, those earphones were away. So yeah, silence will, then the audio will start coming from within. The ideas will start pouring in from within. Maybe you will start making a podcast, or you will start writing a book or something, because these words, these sounds are going to come whether from the outside or from the inside. The thing with all of these senses, with the eyes, with the ears, with all of it, it seems like we are going to have it turned on, and there's going to be something being shown or heard regardless. It's just a matter of is it coming from the outside or coming from the inside, or is it kind of a blend of the in-between? I guess the in-between things are something like listening to a podcast or reading a book or something like that. But if you want to really, chill in the inner space, complete silence. You could even pop some earplugs in if you'd like. But yeah, no podcasts, no audiobooks, no sounds of the city, no people talking, no you talking, no music. And if there is music, make it as gentle as possible and make it kind of like that podcast, your favorite podcast, or like a book where, it's kind of on the inside, kind of on the outside. This music gets me thinking. This music gets me singing, gets me dancing from within, exploring that inner space through the music. Yes, the music could be okay. It really depends on the music. But yeah, silence is going to be the best, just as complete eyes closed or darkness is going to be the best. But there are this is all a spectrum, so there are places in between. Let's look at the nose. The nose, yes. No smells. I mean, this isn't something that we really control a lot. We're not really going around like smelling things like, ooh, smelly, ooh, yummy, scratching sniffs, and those markers and things. Those aren't really a thing as much anymore. Good, because they weren't probably good for us anyway. But yeah, people are wearing colognes and perfumes, and they're getting scented soaps and candles and shampoos and sparkly things they're putting on their body. Yeah, that's just a big distraction. That's just going to push you outward. For weird chemical killing my inside health longevity reasons alone, I don't wear deodorants or colognes, or I don't put on smells. I don't really have smells in my space. I don't like it when I smell someone's anything. I don't want to smell people's stuff. Especially the stuff that really grabs your attention, almost like the smartphone, that tiny little screen for the nose. It's these perfumes and colognes and like strong soaps. I don't need that. Get away from me. I'd rather smell some freaking straight up BO. Well, the BO is kind of like that sweet, gentle music or the podcast or a book or something. It's like, ooh, it's kind of on the outside, but it's kind of on the inside. It's kind of real. It's kind of not. I don't like the BO. But I definitely, I dislike the perfume and colognes even more. Or these really fruity soaps or, yeah, and juices that smell so sweet. I don't want that. Get away from me. And the same thing with food. If the food has a smell, that's going to push you more outward into the outer world too. You're gonna start popping it in your mouth. We're gonna talk about the mouth soon, but yeah, you want to turn off the mouth, turn off the nose, turn off all these senses, the ears and the eyes and everything, and that's gonna help you get inside, bring you back home, liven up your creativity and all that. But I don't think there are nose plugs. There might be, but yeah, plug it up. Dude, tobacco smoke here in Osaka, people can smoke anywhere they want. It's like there's no rules or something, and they just smoke away all over walking down the sidewalk. I got to do that thing where you do like a quick little 10-meter sprint in front of the person, and then do a couple backward glances, and then speed walk away. I plug up my nose. I'm one of those weirdos, like assholes or whatever, who like does that sort of clothespin kind of thing with my fingers, plugging up my nose when I walk by someone smoking tobacco. Dude, yeah. If there's something worse, a worse smell than colognes and perfumes and sweet shampoos, it's freaking tobacco smoke. We definitely do not need that. No. Car exhaust, whatever. No. That's just pushing you out there into a bad space. Freaking elephant graveyard of society for the modern nose. Also, breathing in through your nose more, closing your mouth and breathing in through your nose, using your nose for breathing. That's also going to help, bring you inward a bit more. And then when you're breathing in through your mouth breathing, that's going to, one, it's going to excite you more. It's going to be pushing out extra carbon dioxide. It's going to be breathing in more oxygen. But, we don't need to get into the whole oxygen CO2 balance thingy, but yeah, basically holding your breath or exhaling is going to bring you more inward and calm you down and bring you into the inner space more. And using the mouth and increasing your oxygen and focusing on the inhale, that's going to bring you more outward, take you away from this inner space. I'm not going to get into the whole science of all this too much here, but that's all I'm going to say on that for now. So yeah, use your mouth to breathe, or use your mouth for anything really. It's gonna push you outward more. And like I said, there's some ways to use your mouth that are gonna be more at that sweet spot between the inner and the outer. Humming and singing and chanting and even talking and making out and kissing and sucking on titties and dicks. That's gonna be way better than eating or tasting something really delicious. Putting in those flavors, sucking on some lollipop or something. Yeah, that's going to push you out there into freaking la la land, not where you want to be. So fasting is a great way, a great tool into your inner space. Foods that don't have as much taste or flavor, sort of tasteless, flavorless food, less strong smells, but also less strong taste. And these foods might taste kind of boring and not have much flavor or smell, or they might not even look that beautiful. They might actually look ugly, look disgusting. But yeah, what you're losing, you're going to gain. You're going to lose the sort of immediate pleasure of like, ooh, yummy, yummy, yummy. This tastes good. This feels good. That pushing you in the outer world. But the more these tastes, these flavors coming into your mouth and your nose, grab your attention and push you outward, it's going to shut off the inside, and all that inner stuff is going to be gone, at least for the time being. So the opposite happens when you eat a lot of foods that aren't really that tasty. Think about vegetables, or I don't know, there's natto here in Japan, some seaweeds, like some nasty fish that doesn't taste that good. water, something kind of bitter, like some green tea or something. Yeah, these things taste good, but there are things that taste much better. Think pizza and hamburgers and French fries and candies and ice creams and things. Those push you immediately outward and they turn off the inside. But these other things that aren't so delicious or tasty or whatever, we might not get the outward stuff, that pleasurable outward facing stuff that's turning off the inner lights, but you're going to get the opposite. You're going to get this blast of excitement on the inside, and it might not be immediate, but it's coming. So, yeah, well, this is why I love these vegetables and fish and water. All these things that aren't really that exciting, outward focused. They do waken up my mind, but then the best again would be just not eating it altogether. You have to eat sometimes. Just like you have to socialize sometimes. You do kind of have to open your eyes sometimes and open your ears. You can't just be all plugged up like sensory deprived, living in a sensory deprivation tank. Yeah. So we have to eat. We got to open our mouth and ears and eyes and all that stuff, right? But yeah, fasting itself or eating less or eating things that aren't as rich and delicious, that'll help waken up that inner world. And doing the opposite, eating all the junk, the delicious junk, chasing the deliciousness, the pleasure, that's gonna push you out there. So yeah, if you're feeling, I need to be creative, or I need to spend some time on the inside. Maybe I got to get some ideas sorted out. I got to think about my life. I want to work on my traumas or whatever. I want to write. I want to create. I want to make some art. I want to make some music. I want to create anything. Yeah. Probably avoid those delicious foods, flavors, or eating altogether. Okay, we're going to move a little bit away from the face, the head, the nose and the ears and the mouth and the eyes a little bit, and just focus on some other things. Let's talk about pictures, taking pictures. Taking pictures using that phone camera or any camera, this is, you depending on how you take the pictures, it could be seen as sort of one of those midway things where you're like, where you're blending the inside and the outside. You're taking pictures sort of in this artistic kind of way. You're choosing the lighting, you're choosing the angle, you're finding this object that people normally don't see. Yeah, there's ways to do this in better or worse ways. But in general, we're living in this world where people are obsessed with taking pictures, taking videos. Yeah, I mean, we talked about YouTube. YouTube's freaking taking off. Everyone's watching that stuff. Netflix, Instagram, just taking pictures. There's so many places I go to, and sometimes it's the most beautiful, usually it's the most beautiful, amazing place where people are taking all these pictures at. I'm like, what the hell? It's fine. This is going to be the controversial thing I say probably because it's such a sacred part of our modern culture is looking at the world through a tiny screen. So now are we not only looking at our screens when we're in our rooms or we're sitting in the backseat of the car or we're at work or whatever, we're playing on our phone. Now we're looking at our screens when we're on vacation, when we're in nature, when we're at like this sacred event. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if people are taking pictures at church now or something like that. I went to this Hindu chanting, eye-gazing event, and this lady right before me, you line up to gaze at this Indian guru, god guy, king on his throne, his eyes. Yeah. And you line up and look into his eyes, his loving eyes. And the woman before me, she was freaking had a video. She had a freaking camera rested underneath her chin, her phone, and she was videotaping the eye gazing experience so she can go do it at home later. Like, oh, come on, buddy, what are you doing? You're ruining this. And even as I was doing my eye gazing experience, there was someone giving like a speech, like talking about, it's like an advertisement or something. They were talking about their service or whatever, their product or something. And they were talking like about this thing, and it was in English, so it's even worse, it's even more distracting. Well, I was gazing into this guy's eyes. So I was less immersed. I was less connected. I was less connected with myself, and I was less connected with his inner world, and looking in each other's eyes is a way to also access this inner world, just like looking into nature, looking into the water, looking at the sun, not directly the sun, but maybe the sunset or sunrise, or just the sky, some clouds. These are also ways to sort of use our eyes to tap into that inner world. But yeah, when I had my ears hijacked by some dumb speech in English, and the more you understand the language, the more distracting it is, and the more it pushes you out there. So rather it be some freaking Icelandic or, I don't know, even Japanese or Chinese or something like that. That would be less distracting because I wouldn't know what it means at least. But anyway, yeah, this lady had her phone. She was recording the experience. Half the people during the whole chanting time of it too, they were taking pictures of everything the whole time. I found it quite disgusting. But yeah, maybe that's just me. I'm not saying I'm better for like sitting there with my eyes closed and kind of humming and chanting along, but I was like connected to something deeper within myself, something beyond that room, something beyond all the people there and those actual sounds. I was connecting with, I don't know, myself or reality or whatever. I don't know. Or maybe it's all of my imagination, but it felt nice and I liked being there. And when I opened my eyes here and there and I saw those screens, I started looking at those screens. When I'm on the train, I see people playing on their screens and my eyes go there. And I'm like, oh God, get away from me. At the gym now, it's everywhere. There's billboards, there's electronic billboards, there's TVs in people's houses. Like, oh God, screens, go away. So yeah, just experiencing the world directly, getting in direct contact with the world. Your eyes, your ears, your mouth, being directly connected to that tree or to those eyes or to that food or whatever. When you have that middleman, that space in between, that screen that's disconnecting you from the visuals of that food or looking into those eyes or that body or that mountain or that statue or the freaking Merlion. That was another experience in Singapore. Everyone was looking at that picture, the image of that Merlion through their phone. I don't think they even saw the Merlion in real life. And it's not even that impressive to start off with. And everyone was doing the same freaking pose when I went there. They're all opening their mouth like getting the fountain coming into their mouth. Like, yeah, we're going to talk about that again too pretty soon. Culture and cultural memes and ideas of not your own society. That was a disgusting blend of people following the rules of society, of letting their actions be controlled by these memes, and then looking at the experience of visual world through a screen, and then probably posting it on Instagram and not enjoying the act of posting, but like checking it for numbers and followers and stuff. Anyway, I'm not trying to bash the world. I'm probably going to be hated by 90% of people out there now because, like, I don't know, this inward facing stuff is not what's popping now. That's not what's popular right now. So I know I'm kind of someone in the minority here, but I think the people listening, I think you are here with me. So but yeah, we're all gonna have our space like somewhere along the spectrum. Some people are gonna be like really want to be on the inside, and some people are gonna be really on the outside. And it might shift day to day, but in general, you're like, yeah, this is where I want to be. This is the kind of life I want. I want a job that lets me kind of peace out inside, or I want a job that's like distracting me and moving me through the world and pulling me along. And I'm not really being creative, but I'm doing things and I'm saying things and I'm consuming things, and that might work for some people, but for me, no. I want to work. I want to live. I want to be in relationships with. I want to exist like, I don't know, really, really close to the inside, like 80% inside, 20% outside, or I don't know, maybe even 10% outside. I don't know. Like, that sounds a bit extreme in it. Maybe I'm just in the mood for this right now. I'm sure in a couple months, the summer will arrive and I'll be like, no, I want to blast outward. So yeah, this might change from season to season, the time of day, etc. Generally in the morning, especially very early morning hours and evening hours. If you're like me, you'll probably gravitate towards being more happy and content on the inside. And then as the sun peaks during the day and throughout the seasons, you might want to go outside more. And this happens also over the course of lifetime. When you're in your teens and 20s, you might be more valuing and wanting to push outward, and you want to do the opposite of what I'm saying today. That's all fine and great. And then in early childhood and in your more older years, you might also want to be more on the inside. But this is all going to differ from person to person. But yeah, solitude and being alone is another way to activate this inner network. Because when you don't have anyone to talk to, you don't have anyone to socialize with, you still want to build relationships. And so you're just going to build this relationship with these parts of your brain, these parts of your life, these parts of your memory, these ideas that you've maybe you've consumed or learned elsewhere, or maybe you're coming up with on your own. But you're gonna build these sort of inner relationships with yourself and with these ideas and memories and things. And so that's a beautiful thing. Socializing with others, spending time with other people is a great thing. It's something we all need. It seems to be a recurring theme from what I've been learning and from this podcast. Yeah, having safe social connection is vital to us. But once again, everyone's going to have their different ideal spot along that spectrum of solitude and socializing. For me, I sit quite extreme on that alone end of the spectrum. Yeah, once again, this all lines up. I'd like to be probably alone 80% of the time, 90% of the time, and with others, including at work or anywhere, 10 to 20% of the time. And this goes for pretty much everything else on this list. I don't know if I want to spend 80% of my time eyes closed, but I mean, if you combine the eyes closed with plus visuals of that sort of external version of that, nature, nice, beautiful people and animals and that kind of stuff, yeah, definitely 80-90% I'd like to spend in that natural world, whether it's inside or outside. I want to live in heaven, not in freaking fakey modern hell. Yeah. So yeah, spend some time alone, and you can start stacking these things on top of each other, which you probably already realized, and you've also started to realize this sounds like some freaking meditation retreat. No coincidence. They do stack a lot of these things together. I haven't been to a meditation retreat yet. They seem to get booked up, so maybe this inner space travel is becoming more popular. Maybe it's people traveling to Japan. Maybe in Japan it's sort of it's increasing. I wouldn't say it has. I say Japan is just as bad as everywhere else in terms of being obsessed with, hijacked by the external world, particularly the external world that's been programmed by people, not that natural, beautiful, flowing one in nature. But yeah, that's another episode. Yeah, so in these meditation retreats and stuff, in meditation itself, you do stack these things on top of each other. You're alone. You're directly contacting the world. You're not using your phone. They don't even let you have the phone a lot of times at these retreats and stuff. There's not a lot of food, and if you're eating food, it's like this vegetarian, kind of boring food. You might be fasting for parts of it. There's not going to be this fast food or anything really delicious there. There might be sort of this inner deliciousness that you get from healthy, natural food, yeah, but it's not this big blast that's, pushing you outward. It's more the stuff that's pulling you inward. There's not going to be those weird colognes and smells and perfumes and cigarettes and car fumes and stuff. Not at these meditation places. Sometimes you can't talk. Sometimes they won't even let you bring books or read books or nothing like that. There's silence. It's these silent retreats, right? So the ears are plugged off again. You're not listening to podcasts. You're not reading books. There's no audio books. You can't talk to each other. Sometimes you can't even look at each other. Like I said, I haven't been to these things because they get all booked up, but I'd like to go hopefully soon. I don't imagine they have a bunch of advertisements around the temple or in the cave or wherever you are. There probably aren't these screens. They're probably not doing what my dumb gym has been doing recently. There are these darkness retreats where you actually go into darkness for days and days, maybe a week or so. So yeah, eyes closed, darkness, no screens, no smells, doing breathing exercises, focusing on the exhale, increasing the carbon dioxide, doing some breath holds, not suffocating yourself, finding that sweet spot in the inside. You don't want to go fully on the outside, but you don't want to go fully on the inside. But exhaling it, breath holding, closing your mouth, not talking, not eating, all that, and alone in solitude. These are things that kind of go together. Just like all the other things also go together, opening your eyes and looking at all the lights and looking at the screens, the computers and porn and papers and fashion and beauty and all that stuff, all the noise of the city and of your own mouth and each other's mouths and eating and eat and yum, yum, yum. 3 meals a day. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Gotta eat your lunch. Gotta eat your dinner. Gotta freaking hang out with your friends every day. Watch your Netflix and freaking blast your ears. Deliciousness, pleasure, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, take pictures of it all while you're there and hang out with others. Get social. Woo! Get away from yourself. Get away from the inner world. So yeah, these all go together, and they all go together very nicely. It's almost like confusing when you start mixing them together. It's like you're in the dark, but then there's this noise. It's like, oh, shut up, I'm trying to sleep. Or you're trying to fast, but then you got these strong smells coming into your nose. You're like, I don't want it. You're trying to be alone, but then there's all this noise, and there's all these visuals. Anyway, so yeah, you kind of want to kind of push towards one direction or the other. Sometimes you do mix them together, but it could be distracting or annoying when these two worlds blend together in not the right way. Yeah, so sleep and dreams is another space for this. Dreams are kind of actually really great because it totally makes sense. Your eyes, your ears, your mouth, all of your senses, even your motion, your body's paralyzed. It's all not moving. You're all in stillness. There's no information coming in. Really, yeah, there might be if you're living in a noisy neighborhood or you sleep with a TV on or something like that. But yeah, ideally and usually when you're sleeping, that is when you are most sensory deprived in your life. No coincidence, this is when dreams come alive. This is when, like I was saying earlier, if you shut off the eyes and shut off the ears and shut off the motion of the body and all that stuff, you're going to start to brighten up on the inside. And so this is exhibited and kind of proven when we sleep, when we're in this REM sleep, for example, we start dreaming. We start actually seeing things. We start hearing things and moving and tasting things and smelling things. And it's all virtual or whatever. It's not real. I say it's very, very real. This world of dreams is like the opposite of this external world of reality. And we do kind of say that dreams and reality are opposites, and they kind of are. But dreams are when the inner world comes fully alive. And I guess waking life, or what we call reality or the real world, this is when dreams are completely shut off, and the external world is what's controlling all of our senses. So I guess, yeah, this is another way of thinking about all of this is, let's try to live in a more dreamlike space in our everyday waking life as much as we can. You're not going to be in complete dreamland. Your visuals aren't going to be as strong as they are when you're actually asleep. The audio and the smells and the tastes coming virtually from inside of you, from your imagination, are not going to be as strong. But you can like kind of brighten up and dim down or turn the volume up or down with these different things by shutting off various senses, getting closer to that sleep-like state. So this is why things like meditation or non-sleep deep rest, or even just being in nature, or closing your eyes, taking a bath with the lights off, probably would be even better, without any music or whatever, just sitting there silently in the bath. These more sleep-like states are going to shut off the external screen and then flip it inside out, and it's going to turn on this inside one. And you don't have to shut off all the senses. Like I said earlier, I was focusing on just the eyes, or just the ears, or just the mouth, or just the nose. But like if you want to actually live in a dreamlike space, turn it all off. And there are ways to sort of hack this system through psychedelics or technologies like virtual reality. There we sort of get this dreamlike experience of the inside is being shown on the outside, or it feels like a dream. Like I said, I had virtual reality a bit wrong. What I liked about it is I felt like it was this dreamlike space, but now the more I'm thinking about it, no, it's almost like an more extreme version of the smartphone or the TV or that external world controlling you, because now it's not like it's a dream machine where this virtual reality projects what's coming out of you from the inside. It's like showing you your inside, showing you your unconscious, showing you your inner space. No, it's showing you something completely else, something created by somebody else. It might resemble something on the inner space. It might be like a beautiful like land of clouds, or swimming through the water or something like that, some nice meditation space or whatever. Yeah. And the screen appears bigger. It feels immersive. So it's kind of nice. I do like that. But what I would really like is just a straight up dream machine where we can tap into our own unconscious and tap into what is real from within, not it being controlled by a screen. So yeah, maybe VR is not any better. But if you close your eyes, close your ears, you meditate, take some deep rest, or you actually sleep, take a nap, then this stuff will start to come alive. Your life will start to feel more like a dream, more magical. You'll start to feel more alive, actually, weirdly. So going back to the whole values thing where I was saying, we valuing knowledge and awareness and silence and in the mind and the imagination. It's also valuing the dream world more, valuing sleep. When you start to look at dreams as equally real or maybe more real than this world out here, then you kind of look forward to going to sleep, and you look at those dreams and say, whoa, this is me. This is where I really want to be. This is who I am. This is reality, actually. Then you're going to dream more, and you're going to be more creative, and you're going to understand yourself more. You're going to have a better imagination because you just value it more. So yeah, sleep and dreams, embrace those, and maybe put less focus on the waking life and what we're calling reality, the world out there. And next point is another way to sort of liven up the inside is embracing difficulty and discomfort and effort and challenge and pain. It's just like with that food or the smells. The more subtle or tasteless or odorless they are, the more they kind of don't taste good. They might even taste kind of yucky, but weirdly you like it. Like is water delicious? Is that tea delicious? I don't know, kinda. Same thing with difficulty and discomfort and effort and challenge and pain. Actually embracing the pain, taking a little bit of it. It's not really nice in the moment, but like it starts to not be good on the outside, and it doesn't really push you outside. It kind of pushes you inward. It makes you sort of wrestle with these things on the inside, and you're like, ugh. And that weirdly kind of feels good. And because it wakens you up on the inside and causes this, it's like it's causing this inner growth or something. It's nice. It's nice. The opposite would be easiness, comfort, pleasure. The more you're chasing comfortableness, easiness, pleasure, yeah, the more dead you're going to be on the inside, I think. You're just going to be, ooh, this is nice. Ooh, this bed's so soft. Ooh, this food's so good. Ooh, the sex feels so great. Yeah, there are some pleasures that are maybe more balancing with the inside too. Like I said, that sort of bridge between the inner and outer worlds. But some are just like purely pushing us out there. And yeah, I mean, it's nice to have an easy life and to feel comfortable and to feel pleasure and have things be easy. But if you want to like deliberately turn on the inside world, yeah, embrace difficulty and effort and discomfort and challenge and pain. That'll get things moving within. Next is creation. Actually, just putting yourself in the act of creation. Start creating something. Start writing. Start painting. Start creating this spontaneous dance or song or whatever that you're not regurgitating it. You're not just repeating it. You're not just repeating something that you consumed earlier. You might be a little bit, but you're creating, you're making something. It's like this insight is being pushed out into the outside. Just like I was saying with that dream machine, this dream virtual reality machine, which is my dream to have. Rather than the images and sounds being projected onto you, you're projecting your inner world outward through your hand, through your voice, through your song, through your dance, through your writing, through your artwork or whatever. This is easier said than done, but if you can get to a space where you are creating anything, that's inherently going to be coming from and waking up that inner world. By doing all the things we've been talking about today, getting sleep, getting dreams, spending time alone, shutting off your sensory apparatuses on your head, the more creative you will be able to become, the more creation naturally emerges. And then the consumerism, the consumption, will decrease. So a way to turn off your creativity is to consume more. Yeah, consume more things with your mouth, with your credit card, with your eyes, with your ears, bring in all the information. That's part of the creative process, but the real creation happens when you're on the inside. Consuming is the opposite of creation. It's so easy for me to like fall into consuming what I perceive as better content, better information, good food, healthy food, podcasts, books, whatever, all that stuff. And while it is nice to consume it, it still takes me away from this inner space where I can do a podcast like this. It might make sense also why I don't do these solo podcasts as much, because maybe I'm just spending too much time consuming, or at that sort of bridgeway space between what I'm doing here and when I'm reading a book or listening to a podcast or something. These interview episodes. Interviews are like conversations. They are conversations. They're great conversations. But there's still that, they're further along. They're sort of in the middle between being alone on the inside, talking into a microphone by yourself, versus, say, listening to a podcast or reading a book. And even listening to a podcast is something like reading a book, which is sort of in the middle, I guess. And then further down the spectrum would be watching a movie or just eating some delicious food or something like that. So, yeah, there's a spectrum here. But pure creation does, if that's what you're looking for, it does kind of require you to be alone and not be consuming. So, yeah, find where you want to be along this spectrum, this creation consumption spectrum. But yeah, creation feels nice, and it will waken up the inner world. Okay, next is finding a space where there are no rules, or just literally breaking the rules. Finding that meltiness, the chaos, the curves, the no boundaries, the nature. This is nature. This is also the mind. This is the unconscious. It's chaotic. It's unpredictable. It's not. It can't be put into boxes or categories or any of that. So maybe even language itself. I'm talking right now. I'm doing this podcast. This is not quite 100% inner world, because now I'm putting words onto this. So this isn't this direct contact with myself. I'm externalizing it with words. It's close to it. But I guess even better would be like just literally meditating and being in that space, feeling my heartbeat, feeling my hands sweat, feeling that feeling of all my memories of the past connecting together. It's something you can't even put into words, but words are nice. Words are useful. They bring things to our consciousness, and they let us share things like I'm doing now. So they're great. But yeah, before that, find the meltiness, find the chaos, find the curviness, go into nature, close your eyes, walk in a more curvy way, break the rules of, your own habits, the rules that you've created for yourself, habits in thinking, habits in action, habits of being, habits of socializing and eating and all these different things. Yeah. But also maybe some rules of society. You don't want to be breaking laws. You don't want to be going to jail. But if you can be in a space where the rules do not apply and you can kind of roam more freely, then that's going to be good for this imagination and for this inner space, and nurturing that and going there. The opposite would be straight up rules and norms and culture and rigidity, lines, orderliness. I mean, the city, the urban life, the urban landscape, modern culture, modern society. When you feel like you must obey the rules, like say you're in some religion, like when I was in Mormonism as a child and adolescent, or if you're tied up to a culture like Japanese, where it's very rule based and you got to follow the rules, or any culture really, the more you're going to be pulled out there, caring about what other people think and the appearances and how you look and all that, and status and job, and you're going to start valuing the stuff out there, and you're going to start chasing it and focusing on it. Your awareness is on these pictures that you took, or your friends took, or your followers, or each other, your money, reality, this waking life, and finding this easiness and finding this pleasure and comfort and showing off and chasing it, and not embracing silence, but getting more noise and getting more things, more items, more screens, more lights and colors and flavors in your ears and eyes and mouth. So go to nature, go in the water, even if it's just a shower or the bath, if that's all you've got. Look at the clouds. Those are curvy. Those are chaos. Those are meltiness, if anything is. But swim through your own mind too. Close your eyes. Scribble on some page. Scribble with your feet on the sidewalk as you walk. Dance. Dance through your room. Dance through your life. Breathe in a fun way. Just follow the flowiness of your breath and go where it takes you. Just sing a crazy song, make some sounds, vocalize your feelings. It doesn't need to be words. Just, ah, you know? I'm not saying that was creative or something, but that's how I felt just now. That's what I wanted to do. I think it's why we love that song on freaking Lion King, that Sabinya bought a beachy de ba kind of thing. Because, like, yeah, that's how I feel sometimes. That's coming from the inside. That's natural sounds. Banging on some drums. Yeah. Not like a drummer boy, not like a dun, 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 dun. Not a robotic kind of drum, but more like a bam, 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 bam. Whoo! African drums or something, you know? Get wild, get crazy, get wild, get chaotic, get unpredictable. Bring some chaos into your life. Yeah, it might involve drinking alcohol or something. I hope not, because that's gonna take you out of this inner space in the end. But maybe temporarily it might, might shatter things around and wake things up on the inside. But ultimately, alcohol is not going to be a tool for opening up your consciousness or imagination. I would stay away from that one. There are other drugs like psilocybin and LSD and stuff. Not legal in most places, but they will also kind of do the trick of bringing some of that meltiness, bring you closer to nature, bring you closer to your unconscious and your memories and your past, and seeing reality in a less rigid, orderly, rule-based way. Maybe take a philosophy class or improv class or something that helps you learn how to break the rules and live more freely, question your assumptions, and not know where you're going ahead, but just go anyway. Embrace something new. Take a trip or live in a place where you don't even know the rules or norms, so you're like accidentally breaking them, and because you're away from your own culture and your own family and people judging you and you judging yourself, you can live more freely and wildly and fluidly and flap those arms around and swing those feet and swim through the sky in your mind. Okay, so a few more things before we go. Meditation, hypnosis. These are some other great tools into this. I've kind of already touched on them. The opposite would be like, these memes, these like cultural memes. I keep hearing this one like, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You gotta eat 3 meals a day. iPhones are better than Androids. I know there's all this stuff that people just like think because they've been brainwashed by the advertisements and stuff. I'm like, dude, no. Ads, advertisements, the news, these like just like memes, these cultural ideas and beliefs that just get spread like viruses through us that like people aren't even researching, and they didn't come up with themselves, but they just travel from mouth to mouth and brain to brain, and it seems like this robotic kind of pull string toy is repeating something kind of thing. No. Stay away from the ads and the news and the memes, unless you want your puppet strings to be controlled by the outside. If you want to kind of move those strings yourself or become a real boy, cut off those strings, escape, have the escape of Pinocchio. If you are Pinocchio, you should escape. Cut the strings off. Be a bad boy. Be a bad Pinocchio. Let's keep going here. A few more. Death. Death is something also, you don't want to embrace death. Like, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to die. I'm going to look at dead bodies and skeletons and stuff. None of that. Come on, man. But like just meditating on your death and being aware of the fact that you're going to die, not running away from it, but like seeing it as part of life. When my mom died, it was terrible, but it also woke me up inside more than any other event in my life. And it, as a result, maybe was the most meaningful experience of my life. Seeing my mom laying there in the coffin, being there with my brothers and sisters, embracing my feeling like I haven't in so long, crying and just, I can't even explain it. It's hard to put into words, but I never have been so alive and so connected to this inner world and the reality of the external world, the trees and the sun and my brothers and sisters and friends. If you're so focused on life and shutting yourself away from death so much, or pain and all these other things, the inner world is full of death and full of chaos and change and things fading away, memories and ideas and knowledge and everything, but people, everything. Just being aware of and not running away from death, not covering it up with religion or cute coffins or dreams of immortality or whatever. I think the better you'll be. Just realize you're going to die. We're going to die. People die, and it's not a bad thing. It's like I said, just like how nature is connected to this inner world. I think death is too. My mom is not dead. She's in the sun. She's in the trees. She's in the sky. She's in me. It's not the same mom. Just like your memories never stay the same. The inner world is always changing. The real natural outer world of people and animals and plants and trees and sun and wind and stuff, that's also changing. And sometimes they're going from the inside to the outside. When you're making art, when you're writing, podcasting perhaps, this real inner stuff is kind of moving into the outer realm, and it becomes this beautiful painting or book or something, but it's still the same world. And maybe my mom, and before she was on the outside, she's in this external world, and I could connect with her through hugging or through talking, through looking in her eyes, or being there with her. Now maybe she's not on the outer world, but she's more deeply alive in this inner world. So I'm weirdly maybe more deeply connected with her now. So yeah, just flipping your ideas about death and life around a bit, saying, what is aliveness? What is life? What is death? Oftentimes when something is dead on the outside, it's alive on the inside. And when it's alive on the inside, it's dead on the outside. It's not just going back to my earlier comments about these jocks and these beautiful, perfect Instagram or influencer people or whatever, where they're kind of alive on the outside but dead on the inside. These artists and creatives, thinkers and culture changers. Yeah, they might look a little bit not impressive on the outside. They might not look so alive, but on the inside, they are very alive. That man in the mountain meditating with his eyes closed, silently, having fasted for days, alone, looking so dead. If you go travel inside through those eyes of his and sit where he is, be where he is, you will feel so alive. You'll say, "Oh my God, he is alive." But this goes even further. When people actually die, like when my mom died, and one day when I will die, that person lives on, not just like in this memory sense, but I think they actually exist in that same reality, but now they're in this inner space. They're gone out there, but they're alive in here. So my mom lives inside me. My mom lives inside my brothers and sisters. Whether they can see her or not, she's there. She's in the sun and the sky and the stars and the moon and everything. I feel her more. But maybe because I'm someone who's kind of connected to the inner world, and I always was. So I liked having my mom there on the outside in the real world and in waking life. But since I naturally kind of am more in tune with the inner space anyway, it's not such a bad thing or such a big loss, because she's still alive in my dreams, in my inner space, and in nature that is always there. So this is another thing about nature, is all the people who have died, or the people we've lost, they're always going to be there in nature. And you might say this might sound like some bullcrap, and it might not even be true. It's not like scientifically proven or nothing, but it's what intuitively feels true to me. And this might be another denial of death. Maybe I should just say, no, my mom's gone. That is finished. I'm going to die. But I don't know. I think it's just that energy changing where it is, changing its form. And yet nature and the inner world, the mind, is always swimming and melting and changing, flowing in weird directions, and you can't capture it. You can't put it into a single concept or body and say, hey, that is my mom. That is my mom. This is me. You can't pin it down. There's no lines. There's no boundaries. Yeah, now I guess my mom has become boundaryless, beyond the boundaries of the body, beyond the rules of what it is to be a human being. Now she's maybe fully alive. Same thing goes with possessions and items. I'm happier the fewer possessions I own. Not that these items are dying, but I just want fewer and fewer items. You could call it minimalism, but minimalism sort of implies a sort of, I don't like a trend, like it's you're trying to impress each other or I don't know, it's not coming from within, but yeah, maybe minimalism is tapping into this inner urge to spend more time in our inner world, the world of imagination and creation, and who we really are, the space where we're the once living, now dead, come alive, and where what is not yet existing, these future works of art and literature and books and podcasts and things, were those things that do not yet exist, that you might call dead, that they suddenly come alive. Yeah, having fewer items, just nothing actually, having nothing. How amazing would that be? I earlier asked you if you had all the money in the world and all the time in the world and you didn't have to work and you could have your space and your life however you want it to be. Think about this. How many items would you have? What would you own? I might be wrong because I'm not rich yet. I can't really say, but I have a pretty good idea that even you give me $1 trillion or $500 billion or whatever, I'm going to have almost no items. I think that's when I can have no items. That's what I would like. I might have a few things. I'll have a few things I love, but very, very few. Very, very few. I'm not trying to brag or nothing, but I'm just saying, like, it might just go back to my extremeness on wanting to be in this inner space of wanting to be alone, wanting to be sensory deprived on the outside, but sort of so alive, imagination, dream, creativity alive on the inside. Yeah, no possessions, very few possessions, minimalism. And the opposite would be, yeah, materialism, having lots of items, buying lots of things, having lots of possessions. It's no coincidence that as we've become more externally focused through our screens and through our technologies and through our fashion and foods and all this stuff, as life has sped up as well, we are becoming more materialistic as well, and we're focusing on getting more possessions. And the more possessions you have, the more items you own, the more materialistic you become, the more you become focused on, and the more you start valuing that external world and of objects and things, the more you forget about the inside, and the more that becomes dead. And in reverse, if you start getting rid of that stuff, find this space where there's blank walls and blank table, and it's just this whiteness, and the floors are all clear, and there's nothing in your room. You're just like, boom, you're just there with you and your mind, where you can sit in silence with all the visual and auditory distractions and things. You're just there. You're forced to be alone. You're basically in the dark in a cave, your room. Even in your waking life, your waking life could be a dream. Those walls and that sky that you're walking through without anything else. You're just there. You're not naked, but you could be. That sky, those walls become your canvas. That's where you start to paint your imagination. But if it's already gummed up with other stuff, these screens and these TVs and all these extra chairs and toys and junk and things, there's nowhere left to paint. You're just going to be focused on that stuff, and this inner stuff is never going to be born. So yeah, minimalism, no possessions, cut down the items. And just a couple more. I think maybe the last one, because we got to go. Speed, slowing down. Complete stillness would maybe be the best. Doing nothing, just nothingness, just being there, still. Like I said with the death and life thing, you look still on the outside, but on the inside, the more slow you are on the outside, the more things on the inside start moving and speeding up and changing and organizing themselves. Complete stillness on the outside, but complete aliveness and movement on the inside. Or maybe just walking slow, talking slow, eating slowly, doing things more slowly. Yeah, your external speed is going to slow down. You might be less productive in moving through the outer world and getting things done and being productive. Yeah, that's going to slow down. But what you get from that is this increase of movement and relationships and organization of all this inner stuff. Inside, the ideas start moving. The memories start connecting. The creativity starts emerging. Movement is still there. Like they say, when we're dreaming, our brains are actually more active than they are when we are awake. Or at least these neurons are as active or moving as much as when we are awake. The waking brain and the dreaming brain are not they don't look that different. If you look at the scans of them, if you look at the imaging of them, there are differences, but you're alive on the inside, but you're asleep on the outside. And that's literally true, and that's amazing. The same thing happens even if you're not asleep, you're just sitting in stillness, or you're walking slowly, or eating slowly, or doing something slowly. Same thing. That processing power is just going to get redirected to the inside. So more moving on the inside. And then, so avoid being too busy. This busyness, busy, packing your schedule full of stuff. I fall prey to this. I'm guilty of this. Fast, walking fast, talking fast, eating fast, just moving quickly. That's gonna help you get things done in the external world, but it's gonna slow down the inner stuff. Same thing, like I'll listen to audiobooks and podcasts and stuff at like triple speed or whatever. And I'm getting things done. I'm kind of finishing the book or whatever, but am I really learning it? Am I really sitting there with it? Am I part of the creation process? No, that's like pure consumption. So also the speed of consumption, the faster the content is coming at you. And just like I said, when we went from like books to radio to TV to internet, now we got social media and faster, shorter clips of social media. The speed is increasing, the speed of information coming into us, but then that's making it more pure consumption and more pure outward focused. And the more we slow down the speed of the content, like if I start listening to books at normal speed instead of double or triple speed, then I'm going to start becoming more of an active participant in the process where it's not pure consumption, but it's something sort of tilting in between consumption and creation. I start thinking with the book, with the podcast, with the art. If I just run through a museum and look at all the paintings, like boom, I looked at them all, or I watch a movie at 8x speed, which I have done, then that's just pure consumption, which is maybe good for some reasons, but you're not going to be a creative participant in the process. But watch that movie slower, listen to the radio or to the podcast or whatever slower, talk slower with one another, eat slower. Speed is connected to all of this. So slowness in everything you do is going to open up the inner world, and fastness, busyness is going to crank you out into the outer world. And now even as I'm talking about this, I'm starting to talk slower, and that's very interesting. So even when you are consuming or you're living out there, find a way to slow things down. And while you might not be 100% on the inside, that ratio of inside to outside is going to start to move towards the inner direction. So you can still watch your movies and you can still eat your delicious foods or watch your favorite videos or listen to your podcasts and audiobooks and, socialize with others, take pictures, open your eyes, do all these things, but slow down. You're naturally going to slow down when you start meditating or close your eyes or go to sleep, or when you go out into nature. But you can deliberately just slow down, and that will turn on the inside. And if you really want to push things into the inner world, you want to flip on those lines, then sit in complete stillness. Just sit. I know it says sitting is a new smoking, but I don't know. Maybe this is another one of those cultural memes we got to question. Sometimes we do got to sit. Of course, they're trying to make another point. They're trying to say that we should move our bodies, which we should. Movement is something I didn't really cover too much in this. But if you want to move into this inner world, this will kind of connect back to that point of meltiness and chaos and curviness. No boundaries, no rules. Walk and move in a more free manner, a more unpredictable manner. Take new paths home. Don't walk so rigidly. Dance. Shake things up. Maybe even move things from the inside. Focus more on the inner movement. Moving the limbs and moving the legs and stuff. Those outwardly visible things are great, but moving the inside by, for example, humming or chanting, vibrating that stuff within you, maybe getting a massage, still lifting weights or running, but focusing more on like, ooh, how is my blood flowing? How is my fascia kind of like, shaping itself? How is electricity flowing between my neurons? How are the hormones and neurochemicals flowing? All that inner stuff. How is my digestive tract moving its contents? What is my stomach doing? What is my heart doing? Where is the blood? Where is the oxygen? Where is the water? That might be a better way to sort of focus on all this movement stuff. And so as long as you're moving on the inside, which often requires moving on the outside, then yeah, I think that's maybe a better way to look at this. But when you are, your body is totally still, you're going to be moving more mentally, I would say. And if you are moving on the outside, moving in a more natural flowing way, less rigid, more curvy way, the more that will also waken up the inside. So yeah, you can stack all these on top of each other. Don't die yet. Save that one for when it has to happen. Ideally, we would not die. We would just sit in stillness and solitude and get close to it, like the way people do in meditation, or maybe when they take ayahuasca or other psychedelics or something. Yeah, don't actually die. But yeah, get close to that stillness and solitude and sensory deprivation, something, 80% towards death, and just get comfortable in that uncomfortable space of like, ooh, this darkness, this silence, this tastelessness, this difficulty, this place where things are born and where they die, where I'm coming alive. Anyway, these are some of the keys into the unconscious, into your inner space, into the world of imagination and ideas, and the corresponding locks that will lock you out of your own self. But if you want to be on the outside, then they are keys onto the outside. Okay, enjoy your inner world. Feel it, be it, make something. See you soon. I love you from the inside and the outside.